Hello, and welcome to episode 34 of Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo,
I'm Nick.
and thank you for joining us again on another episode of Pressing Buttons. It's good to be here. It's good to have you here, enjoying our little video game takes. Before we start this episode, just a quick reminder. I was able to edit and upload the Evo 2022 video. It is now up on our YouTube. It's about 18 minutes of pure Evo footage from the convention center. You can see Nick there. You can see our friend Mitch, aka Brooklyn Dad, there. And then you can see me there as well. We had a lot of fun recording the video and then just walking around in the convention center. And might I say, like, watching the footage over again, it makes me really, really want Street Fighter 6. Just because I got to experience it, and then just watching the footage of myself playing it just brought back, like, oh man, I can't wait to have that game. And I'm not a big fighting game person, but like, I want that game in my hands. I want to be able to play it and practice it and get ready for the next Evo. Maybe so when we join, we can make something of ourselves.
Yeah, and that was the best possible angle I could get for that footage. Like, I don't know, it was like really it was really cramped. Like when I was watching the video, I'm like, man,
Who's
that
this
was the
video
best
guy?
I could do. Yeah. that was me. That was the best I could do though. Like, it was just like a really cramped,
Well, it also
little
did
space where there was like a bunch of different setups, and also you and the guy that you were playing. I think the guy you were playing was like actually like even like much larger than you.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, the dude I was
there wasn't a
playing,
lot of space there.
the dude I was playing against, he was like just as tall as me, just a bit bigger. So there was definitely not a lot of space to get some good footage. So I commend you for getting a lot of footage at my back and of Street Fighter 6. But
Strong back.
The angle definitely is a little bit from the right side. So, but I think you were able to capture a good amount of the fight, and it's done.
Yeah, and it
very
looks
well.
great. Even though it's like, off screen, cam footage or whatever, like the game still looks great in motion. So
Yeah. So we had a lot of fun at Evo 2022. Can't wait to do it again. Evo Tokyo. So we'll like we said last week and a couple of weeks back, it's something we want to do. We want to kind of try to make more of these conventions for video games, or just anything that has to do with video games and comics and just pop culture stuff that we like, stuff that you guys are fans like. And just record that stuff and put it up there. So we're glad the first video's out, and hopefully we get more videos, better quality. Definitely, we're learning as we go, because we're definitely not the best videographers, but I think we did a good job. So good job, Nick.
I think that was probably the first video I've ever recorded in my life.
Yeah,
Like with that style. Like that's not my thing.
yeah.
So
We learned some things. I gave you some tips. You did not give me any tips, but that's fine.
well, I don't. It looked fine to me, but I'm not the right person to be giving tips out. So
Yeah. All right, but yeah.
that's what the YouTube comments are for that.
Please don't leave any mean comments. But yeah, great stuff. Make sure you guys check out our YouTube Pressing Buttons to be able to watch that video. I'm pretty sure you guys will enjoy it. And thank you again. All right, and then let's just start right off with our video game news. First thing we're going to talk about is Ubisoft Forward. We talked about it last week, just kind of what we were expecting coming out of this event that Ubisoft was hosting to show off their future games, mostly Assassin's Creed. Definitely, I think you and I are in the same kind of mindset that it was kind of a disappointment, just because there wasn't really a lot of... Exactly. This is why we have the soundboard. But it was definitely a bit of a disappointment in terms of the footage shown and just the path that they have for the future of Assassin's Creed. They showed off a CG trailer for Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is the next main installment for Assassin's Creed. They also showed off kind of like a little video for Assassin's Creed Red, which is supposed to be their Assassin's Creed set in feudal Japan, which people have been clamoring for, I guess, since like the second or third year of the Assassin's Creed franchise. It's one of those that they always wanted. They also did something called for Assassin's Creed Hex, which is supposed to take around supposed to take place around the Salem witch trials and stuff like that. And then the big one was Assassin's Creed Infinity, which we all thought was kind of like a game that's supposed to just do different Assassin's Creed franchises all together in the same world. But it just seems to be like a hub where you can get all your Assassin's Creed stuff. So we're still a bit in the dark about that. Your thoughts on this Assassin's Creed stuff from the Ubisoft Forward, Nick? I know you have good thoughts.
Not really. I mean, I'm not a big Assassin's Creed fan, and this is like a lot of stuff to announce like all at once. So it was like 5 games or 4 or 5 games. I don't know. Maybe one of them was like a mobile title. So it's a lot of stuff. It's hard for me to like even figure out what a lot of this is. So I didn't see anything that got me more interested in the franchise, I guess is like another way to put it. If anything, it just kind of like reinforces like Ubisoft's approach of just like launching way too many games for the same franchise. So, because it kind of sounded like they acknowledged that they were like, oh wow, we're like milking these franchises way too much, and we need to like pump the brakes a little bit and revisit how we're actually developing these games. And I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, like Assassin's Creed, it's going to return to form and whatever. But like that's kind of not at all what what this was like to me. It's like, hey, here's 5 games over the next however many years. And then the only one that looked maybe kind of cool to me was the what is it, Assassin's Creed Red or wait, what is it called?
It's codename Red for now, which is the one set in feudal Japan.
Yeah, and then but to me it's almost like too little too late, because I feel like Ghost of Tsushima basically is more or less that game, and what are they going to be able to do that's better than that? Like I don't have a ton of confidence that they're going to create a better game than that, other than like kind of try to tie it in with the overall Assassin's Creed lore, which I'm not a big fan of to begin with. So I guess those are my thoughts.
Well,
not much to get excited about.
Well,
me.
I myself being a big Assassin's Creed fan, being such a fan of the lore and the franchise and the assassins and just all the worlds that they explore, all the parts of the world that they explore. I was very disappointed just because it didn't really show anything. I know they kind of don't want to saturate the market with all this Assassin's Creed stuff, which is why they kind of skipped this year and they're pushing it to next year. But for that, they could have just like not announced anything, just because they just showed CG trailers. They showed information on what they want out of the future of the franchise, but they didn't really show much else in terms of gameplay, in terms of anything new for the franchise going forward. I am excited that Mirage is kind of going back to the roots, and it will be more stealth gameplay. It will be more basically down to the basics Assassin's Creed instead of all that XP grinding and action stuff. Which is at the root of its core. I think that's what makes Assassin's Creed great. The stealth stuff, the stealth aspect of it, and you just kind of going in and being this stealth assassin and killing people and being a hidden part of history. So it didn't really do much for me in terms of anticipation for the future. Obviously, I'm excited to play whatever game comes out, but it's not one of those where I need to have it for day one, like I used to with a lot of their games, like 3 and Black Flag and stuff like that. So we'll see if they pique my interest once we get more information on these. But definitely the Infinity reveal, which was like I think the major part of this reveal, didn't really say anything, and I think that disappointed me and a lot of other fans as well. So I would give that a C or C minus. We'll see. They also discussed a couple other things. They had Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, The Division Heartland, Skull and Bones, and a sneak peek at Mythic Quest Season 3, which is their TV show that they work with on Apple TV. Apple Plus or whatever that's called. Any other things interest you that you had your eye on? And that you had your eye on? I know you're a big Mythic Quest fan, such as myself.
Yeah, that was the highlight. Oddly enough, of the games. This game showcase was actually the television series that's about a fictional game developer. So very excited about season 3 of Mythic Quest. I think that's pretty much it. I think Skull and Bones. we've been talking about that game for a while. Like I think that's their kind of next big game that comes out later this year. Still kind of don't know what you really do. They emphasized like ship customization, and it's like okay, but like, what are you doing? Like what's the rest of the game? So I thought it was kind of weird that one of the first things that they're talking about is like ship customization as opposed to just like what the game's actually about. So I didn't really learn anything. I mean, it like looks great. So I think at a minimum, it might not be too similar to my impressions of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, where it's like, wow, this game looks awesome, but it's just like not something that I'm super enthused to play. I did play, as we've talked about just Ubisoft more broadly. I think I've mentioned that I did like playing The Division 2. I think it kind of, I did play it for probably like close to 100 hours. So that's like a pretty big time investment for me. So I did play a lot of that. I didn't get really excited at all about this expansion. So yeah, they talked about The Division Heartland. I think maybe I just have like my New York, like East Coast blinders on, where like I'm like, okay, like New York's cool, DC was cool. Like, do I want to play in some random, city in
Iowa or Nebraska or whatever?
Yeah. And I'm from Missouri, so I feel like I have the right to be able to shit on that. So to me, I'm just
We're
like
not trying
maybe
to alienate our Midwestern, Middle America people. So watch yourself.
I don't think anyone from Middle America listens to this podcast. Though. Like we've seen it in the data. It's
probably that's true. Yeah.
Also, just fun fact, podcast more broadly. I think it's very focused on like the coasts, just for all podcast listeners, not just our podcast. So I'm not too worried about audience churn based on that comment, but I don't know. I just so the Division 2, I guess, just in a nutshell, it's a game that I did like. I haven't really played with it in a while, and what I saw didn't really give me didn't get me excited to go back into it anytime soon. So overall, like, which we kind of predicted. I mean, to me, this whole Ubisoft Forward event like exactly met my expectations, which was like almost like a non-event. Yeah, just like it's like not really an event. Like the Skull and Bones thing was, nothing basically, and then I guess we learned a lot more about like Assassin's Creed titles, or they confirmed like a lot of the rumors that were out there, but like didn't really show anything about the games. So I don't know. I mean, what else? There's just not a lot. I guess if you're a Mario Rabbids fan, I guess that was good to learn more about that title. But and I know a lot of people really like that game. Did you play I think you played the first one, didn't you?
Yes, I was able to play the first one. My girlfriend also my girlfriend at the time really enjoyed it. It's a good starter RTS, I think, and with the Mario characters and the Rabbids characters, I think it's pretty fun. Honestly, I think that got more hype than anything else. The Division Heartland, I've been a big Division fan since the first one. I also bought the second one, but it kind of died down after a bit just because they didn't really have endgame content to support really hard, where people would just get bored really easy of their offerings. Skull and Bones, I still think there is no need for this game. I know it's based off of Black Flag and the ship combat that they had in there. It's probably going to be like a $30 or $40 game, hopefully, just because I can't see anybody spending $70 on this game, which is very niche. It's a niche crowd. I think maybe if you're a Sea of Thieves fan, I can see you buying this. But even then, you still have to love ship combat a lot to kind of get into this. And then Mythic Quest Season 3, I'm excited for that. Didn't know if it got picked up when Season 2 ended, so I was kind of on the fence about that just because it kind of left at a very nice cliffhanger, so I was hoping it would, and it did get picked up, so I'm excited for that. But like you said, it's not a kind of good big event from Ubisoft. They didn't really offer anything. They just kind of everybody knew all of this going into the event, so there was no need to make a big showcase out of it. But it being a down year in terms of showcases and events that these publishers have the ability to showcase their stuff at, I can see why they were like, hey, let's do something so people know we're still here. But could have not done it, and I would have been okay too.
It's still here. Yeah, I mean, and that we didn't talk about every title. They had some other quick updates on there was like Just Dance and Trackmania and things like that. But like we just don't really care about those titles. But
it's those are very specific to certain people, and I don't think we're those people.
Yeah. So, and then do you just want to go ahead to go to the next one?
Yeah. So the next one we're going to talk about is D23, which is Disney's own version. It's for Disney stuff, you would say. It's their own event. They have it for Marvel. They have it for Star Wars. They have it for Disney Plus. They just kind of show off a lot of stuff. And they specifically had a showcase for their games. The main one being Amy Hennig's new game from Skydance Media, which is going to focus on Captain America and Black Panther during World War II, along with two other characters, one being a World War II soldier and the other one being one of the... I forget the name of this, but the fighting elite women's unit.
Hydra?
No, the fighting elite women's unit from Black Panther, the Taraji or the...
Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah.
So it's going to be basically a 4-character action game. They only show like a brief teaser CG trailer of it, and they told us who's going to be in the game. I'm excited for that just because I trust Amy Hennig, and she said that if you played Uncharted, her previous game, you can kind of get the feel of what that's going to be. So I'm excited just to see a very Marvel heavy action game that also focuses on the story. I'm excited for that. They also announced the new release date for Marvel's Midnight Suns, which they had pushed back. Now that's getting released December 2nd. They also showed some footage, looks pretty good. A new co-op Mickey Mouse game, Illusion Island. That one looks pretty cool. I like the way that the art style is. That one's coming exclusively to the Nintendo Switch, which I know Nick is very happy about. No, he's
never
not.
playing that.
No, he's not. Marvel Snap, which is their upcoming free-to-play card game that we've heard about, very similar to Hearthstone. The remastering Gargoyles from the Nintendo... I was going to say the Nintendo Switch. From the Super Nintendo. I'm a big Gargoyles fan, so that gets...
I thought it was just on Genesis. Was it on Super Nintendo too?
Yeah, I think I played it. I might be wrong,
okay.
But I believe I played it on Super Nintendo. But I'm excited for that. I'm a big Gargoyles fan. They should bring that franchise back. They also talked about Disney Dreamlight, which is their Disney meets Animal Crossing type game. It's getting a new realm next year. Later this year. Focus on Toy Story. And then they also talked about some Avatar stuff. Out of all of this, obviously, my biggest... thing that I'm looking forward to is Amy Hennig's new game. Very big fan of Captain America and Black Panther. And this being set in World War II with the current age's Black Panther's grandfather, I'm excited to see what story beats they kind of take to, got to fight the Nazis every time. And then the other thing was the new co-op Mickey Mouse game. Even though it's only coming to Switch, I'm excited for it just because I like the art style. And I can't wait to see what more they bring into this genre. What about you? Which one of these announcements or just games kind of drew your eye the most?
Yeah, I want to see. I want to see more from the Amy Hennig game. I think that could be cool. I think that was basically leaked. It was either like earlier in the week or maybe like a couple weeks ago. So there was some rumors floating around that the new game from Skydance New Media was going to be some sort of collaborative game with Captain America and Black Panthers. So it would have been a little bit cooler if that wasn't basically leaked. But it sounds like a cool concept. So just want to see more from that. So hopefully that'll be good. And also like maybe we'll get into D23 more broadly, but I'm not like super excited about a lot of like the movies. So like the movie side of Marvel in terms of getting like cool and engaging stories from the TV and movie side of things. So hopefully we see that gets like kind of resolved through some of these like games where there's like actually like cool stories getting told in the games. So
Well, there was a lot of stuff announced too for, like you said, the movie and TV side of it. They just kind of didn't release a lot of the trailers yet online. So maybe as the weekend goes on, we'll see more of that.
yeah, it's Sunday, afternoon Eastern as we're recording. Like I kind of looked through all the different updates or whatever. Maybe we can get into that more later during the closing thoughts or something like that. But like I just haven't seen anything that's like, oh yeah, like that's going to be super exciting. Other than that, like Marvel's Midnight Suns, and I think we might have talked about this before, but like I've always fallen into this trap of being like real time strategy or like those those strategy titles. I always buy them and then I play them for like 2 hours and then stop playing them. So like I'm gonna be like cautiously optimistic. Like this could be like a great game, but I just found like that this genre for me like often isn't a good match. But it looks cool. If it ends up being just like like a great title and it's maybe like a little bit more kind of friendly to people who like aren't really super deep into that genre. Maybe it's something that I'll get, I'll pick up over time.
I think real quick with those RTS games, I'm in the same boat as you. Where like I'll play them, but then I get bored of them easily. But there are certain ones that'll draw me in more, like Fire Emblem. The whole aspect of you. I'm talking specifically about the three houses. You specifically like bonding with your classmates that you can recruit and stuff like that, and doing the extra side activities to kind of get them to your side. I think that's what kind of drew me in more to play Three Houses, which I ended up finishing. And with this one, obviously being set in the Marvel universe and just having such a deep history and maybe like the ability to unlock costumes and stuff like that, and just seeing the story, I think this one might draw me in more than, let's say, the original XCOM, because I didn't know anything about XCOM, and I wasn't necessarily a fan of the story that it told or whatever. So I think these do have more of a draw for us, at least for people like us that do like Marvel stuff and just what they bring in terms of characters and lore and costumes. I think this will be more of a draw for us than like a regular XCOM would.
Cool. All right. Hope that's the case. And then maybe a couple other titles that I thought looked interesting. So Marvel Snap is the trading card game. I actually played that. There was some sort of like beta or like network test that they did a while back. So I was able to play with that a little bit. I'm definitely not a trading card game guy like by any means. Like really the only time I've played those types of games is Gwent, specifically the version of Gwent that's inside The Witcher 3. And then Triple Triad and Final Fantasy 14 online. Like, so it's like I've played card games inside of other games, but I've never played like a standalone. Yeah, I've never been able, and like I was like pumped when they're like, oh, we're gonna do a standalone version of Gwent, and then I'm like, it's just like they changed it in a way that like I just didn't like it, and so I've always been open to the idea of a standalone trading card game that I would get like really into, and this also didn't kind of like click with me immediately, but I do want to like give it another try when it launches. I mean, it looks incredible. Like the amount of like animation and just like all the visuals and all the different cards. Like, so if you're a fan of trading card games and you're a fan of Marvel, like this seems like it's like about as good as it gets. I just need to play it a little bit more to see if I actually click with just like the fundamental card game. For Gargoyles, I actually never. I was like a huge fan of the cartoon, and I actually have like some Goliath like collectibles over here. So like I'm a big fan of the franchise. I don't even know. I don't even know if I like. Maybe I played the game, but like I certainly like don't remember there being like a Gargoyles game.
Well, it's one of those, with the '90s, like that big era of Fox cartoons with Gargoyles, Spider-Man, X-Men, and all that stuff. They also had the big era of Super Nintendo and Genesis video games where they had the Spider-Man and X-Men and Gargoyles. So I think that's why I remember playing it. Like you said, I don't know if it was for Super Nintendo or Genesis, but I do remember.
It was Genesis, yeah.
Yeah, I do remember playing it, and I enjoyed it. Like you, I'm a big fan of the series. I think it was a very mature series for cartoon, just like what the topics it dealt with, and just how it was animated, just like Batman the animated series was, just like X-Men was. And stuff like that. So I'm excited for this, also for the fact that it's going to bring it back into the limelight, maybe where they can do something with it, where they can make a new cartoon, now that they're doing X-Men from the 90s or anything like that. I'm excited for Gargoyles, just for more people to experience it.
Totally. And then maybe a couple other thoughts on D23. Disney Dreamlight Valley, which maybe I'll cover a little bit in closing thoughts. I've been playing this, and it's like kind of fun. I mean, it's literally Animal Crossing meets Disney, and I've only played it for like a couple hours, so maybe it kind of loses its appeal pretty quickly. But for now, it's just like kind of exactly what I thought it would be, and it's kind of fun. It's just like, again, kind of like, I feel like I use this term all the time now, where maybe I'm like overusing it, but it's approaching that like kind of brainless game experience where you're just like, I'm just like cleaning up some weeds and picking up sticks and, delivering.
Picking up sticks. It's also like, it's awesome. Do you even play video games? Do you even want to play video games?
Well, no, I like, it's like a balance. I like, on one extreme, I like the like brutally difficult, like, pixel perfect execution type game. But sometimes I just want to like sit down and, just kind of like lose my mind, playing something that's like pretty easy. So it just happens that I've been doing like a lot of those, kind of games, but so I think it's more coincidental versus me. It's more them versus me, I guess, in terms of like those are the types of games that are getting released. But yeah, so they're doing it's like a new Toy Story kind of. I don't know if it's like an expansion or whatever they're going to call it, but yeah, it looked kind of cool. You're basically just inside a Toy Story. The final thing was for Avatar, where it's like they called it an MMORPG shooter, and it's like, to me it's like, okay, it's got to be, that's like Destiny, right? Or like what does that actually mean? And
I mean, it looks like they lean more towards the MMO side of it, not the first person shooter side of it. So that's where I see it. But also, I completely forgot that Avatar had guns. So I'm like, what are these blue avatars doing with guns?
that's what I wanted to get into. Where why was Avatar even so popular? Like, I think it was just like this technical kind of marvel at the time, and I think like 3D.
Yeah, let's
3D movies.
Let's take a couple minutes to really quick digest Avatar, because I think you and I have the same thoughts on it. It wasn't that great of a story. It was like a simple dude goes to another planet, falls in love with some random alien, and then wants to become that alien to get with the girl that he falls in with the alien that he falls in love with. Simple story. I think
It's basically Titanic with aliens.
yeah, it was just I think the 3D and the technical aspect of it and how great it looked. That's what drew so many people in. But I don't know. I don't know what people's obsession with Avatar is. Maybe we're just the two wrongest people in the world. But come on. And
I
then
don't know. And
you just
then it's like, how do you translate that to like what is there to build an MMO? Like, I just don't get how this translates to an
You
MMO.
also just forget that like the other half of that movie is like the military or whatever, or the Earth people trying to take over this planet with guns and ships and all that stuff, while the Navi have arrows and winged creatures. Like you forget about all that, but it's just weird. It's a weird franchise, and I would understand if there was a deeper lore behind it, and maybe that's what what they'll explore in the games. Which is funny because Ubisoft and Disney are both working on games for it, but you don't get any of the history behind it. There hasn't been since the first movie came out. There hasn't really been anything that any other type of media like a cartoon or another movie or a web series or a book that kind of dives more into the lore. So I don't know, man. I think you just need more of a background to kind of establish these other games. Like, I don't know anything about the world besides what I learned from the movie. I need to know more to kind of make more games out of it. I don't know.
Yep, I agree. And then it started raining. Can you actually hear that?
Oh yeah, I can hear the
Okay,
the
so
raindrops.
there might be some
Just raindrops.
it's just rain. It's just rain. I think it might just add to the atmosphere of the podcast, where it might actually just if people already weren't having trouble sleeping to us, maybe this will just accelerate that.
We're a
so.
soothing podcast. We're about to get put on one of those sleep cycles playlists.
Yeah.
But yeah, Avatar. I don't know what's wrong with you.
That's it. Yeah, no, I agree. So I thought that was I don't know. Like, there's just like no way that ends up being good. But well, I also just like don't like. I just like don't like the look of. Like, there's just like nothing visually interesting about the movie. Like, I don't want to play as those characters. Like, they just look like weird to me. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just they're not even like cool looking aliens.
I mean, I didn't watch the movie in theaters when it was in 3D, and I know that was like the major aspect of it. And I'm pretty sure right before the second one comes out, they're gonna do some big re-release in 3D. So I will try and go just so I can experience it, but I don't think it's gonna draw me more to be like, hey, I want to learn more about Avatar World. It's not intriguing enough for me to like. And we're big lore guys. We like Dark Souls lore. We like Marvel lore. We like any type of lore that's very deep rooted and has a long history. We like that lore. So it's just not drawing me in. I think that's just the fact. It's just very plain to me. I like James Cameron, Terminator, and all that stuff. Great guy, but just this is basic. Avatar is basic.
Avatar is basic.
All right, so that does it for our thoughts on D23. The next one we want to talk about, big one kind of news with other companies, is the big Microsoft versus Sony in regards to Call of Duty. For those of you not aware, Microsoft and Sony have been kind of in Phil Spencer specifically and Jim Ryan have been kind of having a little war of words just because with Microsoft buying Activision / Blizzard and then Sony having a contract deal or whatever it is with them to kind of provide exclusivity with Call of Duty DLC or just promotions or anything like that for the next couple of years, it's kind of thrown a big wrench in the system. I know with the courts and all that and the filings to try and make the acquisition go through, a lot of these things have come up. But the main thing was that the last week, Phil Spencer kind of came out and said that, yeah, they're going to be supporting Call of Duty through PlayStation, through Sony, for years to come. And then Jim Ryan took exception to that, and he was like, hold on. Years to come doesn't mean for a while, it just means 3 years. You don't technically see this kind of back and forth going on, especially when it comes to these boardroom deals that they make. Obviously, Call of Duty is a big seller in PlayStation. PlayStation having a bigger market share in terms of consoles at home. And you can see why Jim Ryan would be upset at this. There are a lot of differences between like console exclusivities. We all know like Halo's always going to be on Xbox and PC, and then like God of War or whatever is always going to be on PlayStation. So it's very rare to see these two kind of executives kind of go at it, just because Sony knows how important Call of Duty is. Even though Call of Duty isn't originally a Microsoft IP, once Microsoft gets a hold of it, you can start seeing with them offering it on Game Pass, saying that Call of Duty along with Overwatch and Diablo are going to be coming to Game Pass. You can kind of see where the market could shift going to Microsoft and leaving PlayStation. It is a console seller. I don't know if people do that anymore, but Jim Ryan, I think, in my opinion, has all the rights to be kind of upset about this. It is kind of weird just because they've had such a tight relationship with Activision Blizzard, and PlayStation has sold more consoles. I wanted to get your opinion, especially as kind of a finance guy, kind of money guy. Do you think this is right? Do you think they should fight more for it to kind of keep it on their backyard, or do you think this is just overblown nonsense?
Well, I mean, it's not nonsense. I think it's a giant title, and a lot, like the majority of people play that game on a PlayStation console. So, in the event that goes exclusive, I think Sony's faced with a lot of potential unhappy PlayStation users. So, yeah, and Microsoft's kind of in this like insane, like bizarre situation where they need to, like, they're like they're trying to play two different complete angles, like from an antitrust and like regulation perspective. They're like, Activision sucks, none of their games are good, like we're gonna acquire them and it's like not a big deal, and you know, but like we there's a reason they're buying them, right? And it's because they have like a lot and like they've already done
So
like
funny, so true.
Yeah, and it's like they've already done this. Like I think Bethesda might have been, you know, maybe it's like, I think Activision's, you know, obviously like much bigger than Bethesda, but that's another like big acquisition that was recently made, and I think they pretty, you know, clearly define that those games are, you know, going to be exclusive to Xbox over some period of time. They're going to honor, you know, whatever existing exclusivity deals or more like marketing deals that, you know, Bethesda already entered into. So Ghostwire Tokyo, I think, is like a good example where I think that was a game that was developed by was it Tango Gameworks? I think they did that one, right? Yeah. And then, you know, so yeah, they're owned by Bethesda, and they had this like exclusive. So it's like they're going to honor contracts. Once those contracts are over, I think Xbox is going to have a clear bias for wanting to make as much content exclusive to the Xbox platform as possible. So then the question is, specifically for Call of Duty, do they take the honor existing arrangements and then once those are done, take it exclusive, or do they keep it wide and available on every platform? That's a really hard business decision. I think when we initially talked about the acquisition, I think we both had this mindset. At least I did, where it's like, oh, Call of Duty is just so big that they're going to take the Minecraft approach, where it's just like, you know, for the same reason they didn't take Minecraft exclusive to Xbox, they would probably choose to take Call of Duty, take it down that same kind of path. But I don't know. It kind of seems like there's, you know, evidence to the contrary, where maybe Xbox is more like, oh yeah, maybe where like Minecraft is more arguably like a platform as opposed to a game, whereas Call of Duty is more kind of like a traditional, you know, kind of game experience. maybe the demographic, like the audience,
Yeah,
is like another reason. Like, so maybe they have like a lot of data points to suggest that it's better off for them to make it exclusive and get people to migrate to the Xbox platform. So that's the trade-off. It's tough. Like, I don't, they obviously have all the numbers, right, where they can clearly model like, okay, well, if we keep it on PlayStation, we get this many billions of dollars, through royalties on PlayStation sales. But if we take it exclusive, we think we get more people engaging in the Xbox ecosystem. And so that's like the trade-off model that they need to work through. So I don't know. It's a tough one.
well, I mean, it's like you said. There is a big difference between Minecraft that is kind of more geared towards everyone. That's why it's on Switch. That's why it's on PlayStation, PC, Xbox, and Call of Duty, which is kind of going after the same demographic that Xbox is going forward. Because you don't see Xbox being like, oh, we're gonna keep Call of Duty off of Nintendo, which they don't have it. But I don't think it would be a thing that they would be worried about, just because you wouldn't expect Call of Duty to do that well in Nintendo, in any Nintendo system. So it is kind of concerning, just because you do see what they did with Bethesda Studios in terms of Starfield. Starfield is going to be Xbox exclusive from what we know so far. Maybe down the road, if they see maybe the sales aren't that well or whatever it is, that you can see it coming to PlayStation. But it is concerning that they did say for the terms of the contract or whatever, we're going to, in good faith, we're going to do 3 years, specifically 3 years after that. That doesn't sound good. I know right now there's not that big of a difference, but 5 years from now, if you do have that going where it's like, oh, you can only get Call of Duty on Xbox, you can kind of see more people who are big Call of Duty fans just, oh, I'll get a Xbox instead of a PlayStation because they have the exclusivity. So I can see both sides of it. Microsoft definitely wants to have their side of it, which is one of the main reasons they bought. They're buying Activision Blizzard is because of Call of Duty, and PlayStation on the other side is Call of Duty. Even though it's not one of our first party franchises, it is one of our biggest franchises that sell so well, and the DLC sells so well. So hopefully, I think the best thing would be if it doesn't hinder the acquisition process of Activision Blizzard to Microsoft, just because that would be unfair. They have the money, they want to buy it or whatever. But on the other end, hopefully it also doesn't also hinder the relationship that Activision Blizzard has with Sony to have Call of Duty over there, and it's just that type of battle. Because I can understand first party franchises, Halo, God of War, Last of Us, and such, and those games staying exclusive to the franchises. But these third-party AAA games that that these companies have, I just don't like seeing that. So hopefully they squash whatever beef they have, and Microsoft realizes that they do make more money, even if it was on PlayStation. You're gonna make money anyways. Don't alienate your gamers because of it. It might backfire too. You never know. You'd be like, oh, Microsoft did this, so we're just going to stick with PlayStation. You never know.
We just need that beef to get squashed.
We're there for you. We can be beef squashers. We can be mediators. All right, so that does it for all the news for this week, the major news we wanted to discuss. And we're going to move right along to closing thoughts. This week, I finally found a game to play. I know the last couple of weeks I've been kind of up in the air, not knowing what to do. But I found a game to play. I've been playing Days Gone. It's a PlayStation game. It's a single-player adventure game. You ride a bike everywhere. You're a motorcycle guy. It's very similar to The Last of Us. I know there was this big controversy about a year ago because the developers, Bench Studio, wanted to make a sequel to Days Gone, and PlayStation didn't really want to, just because They didn't see the profit in it, and I can see PlayStation, Sony side of it. It's very similar to The Last of Us. The game itself is a bit buggy. It's very generic in terms of the combat, the story. It's just I can see why it's not a franchise. It's a standalone game, and I can see why Sony decided to move away from it and kind of just tell Ben Studio to just make a whole new game. But it is a very fun game. You play as this guy, Deacon St. John, such a great protagonist name, who's in some parts of Oregon. There's like some virus outbreak. People are getting eaten left and right, and then you're just kind of a nomad with your motorcycle and your boy, Boozer, riding around Oregon and helping out these establishments or whatever. You know what you would.
This sounds like our life.
Yeah, what you would do in a pandemic. So you already know, Nick. If there's a pandemic or epidemic, we would just get motorcycles and ride around New York City and figure it out.
Who's are you Boozer or am I Boozer?
You're Boozer.
Okay, I gotta check it out and see if that's actually cool or not.
You're second fiddle to my protagonist story. But yeah, it's a pretty fun game, but I can definitely see why there was no green light for a sequel. It wasn't genre defining, it wasn't anything new. I know they're making like a movie or a TV show about it, I think. But it's a fun game nonetheless that I'm having fun with it for now. And obviously being in a drought of not knowing what to play, I'm glad I kind of started playing this. So you should check it out.
I thought it was bizarre that they're doing like some sort of TV film.
That I found
it's
weird
like
too.
no more of these games, but like let's translate it to like the super crowded zombie.
Yeah, the zombie apocalypse
TV it's
virus
like,
thing is
so.
kind of it's too much at the moment.
Yeah.
It is available on PlayStation Plus collection if you have PlayStation Plus on PS5 for free, not the higher tier one. So I would recommend that if you've never played it. Pretty fun game.
It's for free, right?
It's for free,
but not really.
Well, it is for free. What do you mean?
Is it?
Really?
No, you gotta.
Oh, now you're taking the not really for free side. I've been saying it for the whole Game Pass thing for a while.
That's always been my angle.
All right, it's not really for free.
But it's not for free. Yeah. No, everyone playing Game Pass games is like, oh, you get it for free. And it's like you don't get it for free on Game Pass.
All right. I've been telling you that forever, but whatever.
No.
All right, let's move on to my second closing thought is What We Do in the Shadows, Season 4 finale. For those unfamiliar, What We Do in the Shadows is a show on FX. It's based on like these vampires that have a documentary crew running around filming them, much like The Office, but with vampires. Pretty funny show. It's based off of this movie by Taika Waititi and Jermaine Clement. From Flight of the Conchords. Very funny show. It just ended season 4. It's a hilarious show. One of the actors in it, Matt Berry, he's a British hilarious guy. You should check out his work if you haven't. And also I wanted to mention Taika Waititi, just a brilliant creator, brilliant producer, writer. Why are you laughing so much?
I'm pretty confident you're not pronouncing his last name correctly.
Waititi? How do you pronounce his name?
I'm not even gonna try to correct you.
Shut up. All right. He's done a lot of work the last couple of years. He's done a couple of episodes of The Mandalorian. He's set to do his own Star Wars project pretty soon. He has a show on HBO Max called Our Flag Means Death, which is LGBTQ plus friendly. Pretty good show. You should check that out if you haven't. Also, Reservation Dogs, which is Native American focused, based on these group of 4 teenagers and their community. Pretty good show. So check out What We Do in the Shadows. Check out Our Flag Means Death. Check out Reservation Dogs. Check out Thor. I think they're all great things. Good to see a very diverse crowd, diverse show out there. So pretty funny too. Pretty funny shit.
And I think he's going to do maybe you just said this, but he's doing a new Star Wars.
Yeah, he's kind of still
movie too, right?
He's still figuring out like what the concept is, because he said it in some of his interviews, which I totally agree with. You don't want to do the whole Skywalker thing. You don't want to kind of do callbacks to the old movies. I'm a big The Last Jedi fan, just because it kind of tried to shoot the whole Star Wars system of the Skywalkers and all that stuff. So like he's trying to do his own thing. That's still a bit ways off, but yeah. What about you? What are your closing thoughts? What you been up to this week?
Still, I guess the move update is I finally got all my stuff. So that was a big day to actually take delivery of all my things.
Finally. Does it not feel good to have like all your shit? Like when you don't have your shit, it
was getting exhausting because it was like several weeks of just this like cobbled together setup, and we just didn't really have anything. So I'm still like in progress. I had to like tear down my makeshift setup, and I'm now like trying to pull together my actual setup. So that's why there's nothing behind me, because it's still work in progress. I probably need like another week or two to like fully tidy everything up, but yeah, it definitely feels good. I mean, if anything, it's just so good to have my chair. It's like I didn't realize how much I would miss this thing. Like after sitting in just like that random orange chair that we had, after sitting in that, for 3 weeks, it was like killing my back. So kind of like another busy week with moving stuff. So I didn't play like a ton of games. I did put in a little bit more time in Assault Hackers 2. I don't really have too much more to add versus what I said last week. So it's just kind of like more of the same. But yeah, really enjoying it. The other thing that I wanted to check out that came out was which we kind of already kind of spoiled this when we were talking about the Disney showcase, but I did for a couple hours played the Disney Dreamlight Valley game. It's free on Game Pass. We'll see. I'm guessing you'll need to like pay for expansions or some stuff, but there didn't appear to be like any onerous, monetization model that's inside of it. So for now, I'm just kind of like doing random odds and ends in the game. But yeah, it's fun. It's literally Animal Crossing meets Disney. You create your own kind of avatar, and you're running around in this like village filled with Disney characters. So yeah, it's just like a fun, chill game. So hopefully I'll get more into that later this evening.
It might be one of those where they're trying to see like how well it does before they start monetizing it, like really, really hard.
Yeah, I think we'll see. There was definitely, I think Animal Crossing's always done like pretty well for itself, for kind of for what it is, and then it kind of had this like insane moment where the game came out at the early days of COVID and everyone being from home. So it kind of was this like phenomenon of just like everyone's buying a Switch, everyone needs a game. Hey, here's this game where you can kind of like socialize.
Also,
where in a world
pandemic.
where you can, yeah. So, but like, I mean, the game's gangbusters. So we'll be curious if there's like some conversion of people who like that kind of game, and maybe they can do. I think right now it's just on. I can't remember which consoles it's on. I don't think it's on Switch yet, but it could be around that. So I'm just playing it on my PC through Game Pass, and yeah, having a good time. That's good.
For now, it's on Switch, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. So.
Oh, okay, so it's pretty much everywhere. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'll be real curious how this does, because I think this is like a well, I guess the first like kind of large scale, like, hey, let's take exactly the Animal Crossing formula and just throw in a fresh coat of paint with a different IP and see how that works. So we'll see what happens. I think that's it. I need to catch up on. We now actually have a television where we can, like, we have like a setup for where we can actually like watch TV together. So, which we basically haven't had since the move. So we now have that set up. We've been wanting to watch. We got to finish Better Call Saul, so that's kind of like first.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
First
what's
in the
your
queue.
first
Yeah.
thing to watch?
Yeah, Better Call Saul for sure. I feel like we got a ton of stuff to catch up on. Actually, What We Do in the Shadows is something that's been on my list for like forever. And do you have like a read? Do you have like a read on? I think I'm gonna like it a lot. I just have never gotten into it.
You
Do
will
you
not
have a
be
read on?
disappointed, man.
Okay, yeah.
We pretty much have the same obscure humor, so I think you'll enjoy it with how ridiculous it is.
Okay. All right. I think that's about it. And then, after a couple of, like a lot of these gaming showcases have been kind of like, okay. I think
Bummers.
this week is going to be, I think Tokyo Game Show
TGS is looking
is going to
very
be,
prime.
is going to be good. Yeah. And maybe not even like a ton of new reveals or whatever, but I think there's just like a lot of games that I'm already excited about that we're just going to learn a lot more about. So I think I'm most excited about Tokyo Game Show.
Well, we have a big,
And then
they have a big
go ahead.
showing going for Square Enix. Is supposed to do this very big thing, especially on the 35th anniversary of overall Final Fantasy and 25th of Final Fantasy VII. And then you also have Capcom doing their own big thing. And then I know you messaged me about is it Bandai Namco doing a big Yakuza thing? So
No, that's Sega. But there is a there's a big like Yakuza event that's going to happen. So I'll be we'll see. I don't know. So they also do so there's Yakuza, and then there's also Judgment is another series that's kind of like in that I guess it's like set in the same universe or something. I'm not sure. I actually haven't played those games. I do want to check them out at some point, but what I hope we hear more about is the next, mainline installment in the Yakuza series, which should be, I guess that'll be Yakuza 8. Yakuza 7 was Like a Dragon, and that's where it kind of changed the battle system.
They threw the numbers out the window. We just
it was. I think it was symbolic of them kind of changing the battle system to Like a Dragon. I guess it's like Dragon Quest basically. Like there's a lot of inspiration from the Dragon Quest old school, kind of JRPG turn-based battle system. So I think that's what they were trying to accomplish with that title change. But for Yakuza 8, I think they're gonna, it's gonna be the same protagonist from Like a Dragon. It's gonna be the same kind of turn-based battle system, which I was a big fan of. So, that was my, again, game of the year whenever that game came out. Like a Dragon. I've been telling you to play it for a while. You refused to accept my recommendation.
It might,
but
there's still more
that's
time.
a big.
There's still time.
But yeah, that's a game I'm like very, very. That's like a top 5, most excited games. I'm looking forward to. So definitely eager to learn more about that one.
All right, it does look like it's going to be a big week for us. Also next week, hopefully next weekend, we're going to be doing the show from Nick's place. We're setting up a little studio. It's going to look
my God.
Yeah. It might look a little rough around the edges in the beginning, but, we always like to give the best quality that we can, that we're capable of. So we're going to be working on that. But next weekend, we're going to be doing a live... Well, not a live show, a face-to-face show where we're both going to be in the same room at the same time. Super excited for that. So it's a big week. TGS, face-to-face pressing button show.
First in-person recording.
There you go.
It's great.
And we've never met. A lot? No, that's a lie. But that does it for us. Make sure you guys check out our Evo 2022 video. It's a pretty nice video. And keep up to date on our Discord for any pressing button news or just any shenanigans that we get into. Thanks for joining us on another episode of Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo. Bye.
I'm Nick. Later.